For this lesson on conditional formatting, I've obviously created a new tab called Conditional Formatting, and I've resized the columns and the rows to 50 pixels. I've then selected C2 all the way to M5 and used the all borders option under borders to just give us a clear area to work within. Now, we've been used to the idea of using our font and border color, our fill colors and our borders and everything else, and setting the format. And that's fine. If I wanted that cell to be blue, I just click on blue and it is blue. But sometimes, and I'm just going to use the undo, sometimes we want it to format based upon a condition. So let me give you an example. Let's use the numbers. I'm just going to fill series that to there, so fill series, and then let's just take that down to there, fill series. So we've got those. Now let's suggest that we want to color all numbers between the numbers 5 and 10, just to get an idea of where they are. Well, I could go through individually coloring them, but another way of doing that is to use this tool here called the Conditional Formatting tool. And there's many options under here. You can see that it's not a single option with a drop down, but it's purely a drop down, and each one has its own selection group under there. The most common usage for this is to use the manage rules. Now if we use the new rules, the new rule option, it triggers one of the factors of manage rules, similarly with the clear rules option. These are fantastic. When we get onto those much later on, you'll understand how to use them, but for this stage, let's use the manage rules option. Now, as I say, the new rules option is part of this system. Notice it's saying current selection, so I can see the conditional formatting for the group that I have selected. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select new rule. In selecting new rule, we're taken to the new formatting rule. Now if we have a look, we've got a number of options here. We've got format all cells based on their values, and that would seem to be what we're looking for. I said we wanted to have a format that identified the numbers between 5 and 10. The thing is that though this does, it actually will apply the rule to the whole range, and anything below 5 will maintain the color of 5. That's a little bit confusing, but basically it's not what we want, because this will color all cells, give them all a format. Those outside our upper and lower boundaries, 5 and 10, will simply continue the color that 5 and 10 receive. I suppose an example is useful there. Let me set the number for the minimum value, set it type to number and set it to 5. Let's set the maximum value to a number, and that's going to be 10. Let's change the minimum color, so the minimum value's color we're going to change, let's say, to green. And the maximum value color we're going to alter to blue. So what it's going to do is it's going to shade from this green right across to this blue, from accepting this lowest end of the green is 5 and the upper end of this blue is 10, so everything in between will be a shade. But any value below 5 will simply stay with the color that 5 has received, and any value above 10 will continue with the value of 10 there. And to prove that, if I click on OK and then apply, that's what we've got. We can see it shading from 5 to 10, but everything above 10 has maintained the same blue. Same with 5, everything below 5 has maintained the same green. That's not what we wanted. So what I'm going to do is delete that rule. I'm going to create a new rule. By the way, just on that, just apply, gets rid of the format. Let's go back to new rule. The next option down says format only cells that contain. Now this is actually the traditional one that Excel has always had. Cell value is between 5 and 10. And we can do a format. And we can set the fill color to, let's say, cyan. Click OK, click OK, click apply. Now we have what we set out to do. We set out to highlight only the ones that we wanted. We haven't done a scale, but we have been able to operate it in this way. So what about the other options? Well, if we click on new rule, so we don't rule out the one we've got, we had a look at this format all cells based on their values and recognize that if I set a minimum value, then anything below maintains the same color that we define, and anything above the maximum value maintains the color defined there. We've seen how we can use the format only cells that contain rule. We can then use format only top or bottom ranked values, so it will only color those that are the bottom or the top of the values we've got. Similarly, we can highlight those only above or below the average. So the system will calculate if we're above or below or equal or above or equal or below or one standard deviation above, so we can actually get Excel to highlight values that are above our average or below our average or equal to the average or using standard deviation. There's a number of things that we can format there. This one here will identify duplicates, that means numbers or data that is exactly the same, or unique, so no other copy of that will appear. Now clearly in my data range they would all be coloured in because, well, almost all. We've only got 14 once and we've only got 1 once. So if I set that rule, then what would happen, let's go for duplicates, let's format that, let's make that red, click on OK, click on OK. Now what we've now got is 2 rules. I'm going to apply them, and you can see that this rule is taking precedence and this one doesn't seem to have. What I'm going to do now is move that one up and then apply, and you can see that this rule is being applied above that one. This is layering of rules. So the rule at the top will appear and has precedence over this one. Imagine that basically it processes from the bottom upwards. So it does the one at the bottom and then overrides it with the next one up. So rule applied in order shown. So that's probably the best way of seeing it. This one was applied, duplicate values and values, you can have whatever you like. That was applied across the whole lot, but this one takes precedence, so this is applied next, and that's therefore being shown there. So we have a number of options available to us, and we can see that 1 and 14 aren't being applied to. And we can use the same rule, so I'm going to use the same unique and duplicate, but this time I'm going to do the unique, and what we'll do with that one is make that a yellow, click on OK, click on OK, click apply, and now everything's a pretty color. So what's really important with this is we're applying a condition, a format based upon a given condition. Well, why is that useful? Well, the rule here is that it's got to be between 5 and 10. So what if I made that one 17? Well, 17 is unique, so the rule for 17 is now being applied. The unique one is being applied to 17. So as I change the numbers, the format changes. The format is conditional upon the value that is being displayed. If the value changes, the condition might change, because the format is conditional upon the value. And that's the point. So conditional formatting is a really useful tool. It's a really interesting tool, and it can help enormously. In the next video, we're going to have a look at one of our very first functions. See you in the lesson.